Thank you for joining me for my first official 3D printing video on YouTube. I really appreciate everyone that has given me the little nudges and help to make this a reality. So to get this going full steam ahead, we're going to St. George, Utah to meet up with the 3D printing professor and a deep dive on his PrintABlok project and also see his makerspace. Right here on the 3D Misprinter. Oh wait, what? That's how the 3D printing nerd opens his videos? Ah, no wonder why it was so easy to think of that liner. Anywho, since I don't have an intro with clips of previous episodes, and because it's the very first one, how about I show you guys some quick 3D printer eye candy from the CS show earlier this year? And I mean quick because the music isn't that long. So here we go. Here's the Ultimaker booth and an amazing 3D printed motorcycle. Now over to Eunice, I think I'm saying that right, showing off a nice little resin printer. Over to Mark Forge, I saw that Haddington Dynamics had one of their robotic arms there named Dexter. They're here in Vegas, so I hope to get a tour of their lab sooner or later. Here's Polymaker booth with some pieces you might have seen before. ANET had some printers running right along. The people over in the Form Labs booth were having a great time and had a lot of really nice looking machines and printed pieces. Snapmaker was showing off some printers, making a few things. Here is one printing a vase. Raise 3D had a cool booth with some giant machines. And WeDo's booth had someone in a video you might recognize. Hey, it's our friend, the 3D printing professor. If you'd like to see a really cool full tour of the CES show, there's a link down in the description that Jeffrey Wright over at the Print 3D channel did. So anyway, let's head down some stairs and meet up with Joe, the 3D printing professor.
Hey, how you doing? Come on in.
Hey, how's it going, Joe?
Hey, good to see you.
So, wow,
welcome
this
to
is
the
a great
Makerspace.
place.
I'm a little bit biased, but I'll agree with you on that one. In fact, while you're coming in, make sure you check out our show-off shelf of all the cool 3D print projects and laser cut projects and other projects that people have done here at the Makerspace.
Okay, so came down to talk about PrintABloks.
Yes, let's talk about the PrintABlok project, my current Kickstarter. I believe this is my third 3D printing model Kickstarter. Before that was Chiba Malls, and before that was the low poly dinos. So this is kind of getting to be a habit for me, but a good habit.
So I gotta ask, why did you even decide PrintABloks? Was it the fiasco that went on with Lego? Or was it you just got mad at them for not allowing us to put stuff up? Or
I mean, that's certainly the way that I framed the story of it. But to tell the truth, I've been working on this one for a lot longer than just it. In fact, even before the low poly dinos, I had put together a list of Kickstarter ideas that I thought would be cool. And on that list was modular spaceships. I had, even back then, 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, I had been working on low poly spaceships. You can download those models on Pinshape. I had been working on modular cars. I think those are also on Pinshape or My Mini Factory or one of those sites out there. I had been working with Tony Buser's connectors, which if you look those up, you'll see this idea of having a little connector that snaps between things but takes advantage of the 3D printing process. Those ideas were already floating around my head way back then, but I didn't do them way back then. I kind of let this idea percolate for a while, but with the Lego fiasco, it certainly turned out to be the right idea at the right time to kind of jumpstart this into what it is now.
And just in case anybody doesn't know what went on with Lego, they got really angry at anybody trying to make anything that would interconnect with anything they had using their name, their pictures, imagery, anything. They just ripped it all from Thingiverse.
And to be 100% clear, we don't know what their intention was. We don't know why they were doing that, because there were some models that weren't taken down. And there were some websites that I thought the reason why they took, like, there was a website out there called PrintABlok where you could download a 3D print model that looked and was sized like every single Lego out there, but they also put the the designs, the copyrighted material, and I thought, well, they're getting dinged for the copyright. But then there is a site where you can download that same exact copyright information, and it's still there. I don't want anybody to think that I dislike Lego. I love Lego. If it weren't for the fact that I love Lego so much, I wouldn't care about I wouldn't have even modeled these in the first place. I think Lego's great. I love them, but certainly having them take down my models kind of hurt. And it did kind of spur me into action, and it did kind of lead to this. Now, I'm happy that PrintABlok has gone a different direction, that I'm not specifically ripping off Lego. It has now become its own thing. And like I said, it's a process that started even before all this. If anything, the Lego fiasco could be said to be the catalyst, but it certainly wasn't the cause.
Okay. And so kind of going back in the history, still kind of on that same line, what was the first versions of it? Was that just something you were playing around with? Did you actually
Yeah.
want to release that to people, or?
I actually have them right here. So
Oh, you can see them right there.
right there. So this tiny little connector is kind of my version of the Tony Buescher connector, but it's different. And I had the thought that if we took the hole for those and turned them 45 degrees like that, that the connector could potentially connect this way or that way. Most of the time we did it flat, we used overhang to do it. But if we turned it 45 degrees, it would work on the sides, it would work on the tops and the bottoms, they would work equally on all 6 sides. And so I could make a connector that would connect in any direction. So I was super excited by the possibility of this. Now, you'll notice that this first version, though, if you could see inside the hole for them, you would see that it is just straight across, and there's the edges of it are completely straight. That resulted in there being a lot of wiggle in this piece right here. You see that? It's really not holding on very
Oh
tight.
yeah, I can really see that now.
Yeah, and when they connected, if I can get this, I don't know why this one's being a pain. I must have something stuck in that hole. But when it connected, like that, it's just, oh, wow, it even snapped. Well, there's one of the old ones snapping on me, guys. I'm having troubles with this. But it doesn't connect tight. It wiggles and things like that. So this was the very first connection, and it took me several iterations to come up with what is now the PrintABlok connector, where the connector piece has a divot down the middle, and the cavity for them has a divot on the edge that holds it tight and holds it in place, but will work at 45 degrees. So, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but there's a lot of iteration, design, and complexity that went into making just that tiny little connector that makes everything work. But yeah, it managed to go from that to this in a very short time. Just before the Kickstarter, I think I came up with a version that I was really happy with, and then I was ready to launch the Kickstarter.
Now, since you've done Kickstarters in the past, was this right here, once you got it to the point where you figured, oh, you know what, I think I'm just going to put this up and see what people think of it?
I mean, there was definitely intent, but you don't just run a Kickstarter with the thought that, well, let's see what people do about this. I did some market research. I went out there, found out what people wanted. I polled the people who had backed me on previous Kickstarters and said, what would you guys think of this idea? And in fact, I presented to them multiple ideas, not just the PrintABlok, the modular spaceship, or actually not spaceships. Originally, I had thought to do spaceships, but to not tread on anybody else's toes, I switched to mechs. And I'm really happy that I did, because mechs require articulation, and so I very quickly had to solve that problem. A bit like with my low poly dino Kickstarter. With the low poly dino Kickstarter, I put in the hands of the backers, what dinosaur am I going to do next? If it had been me, I would have done the easy dinosaurs, and I would have just rode those until I felt good. But no, everybody jumped in and said, we want you to do the Velociraptor, the very next one. I had an idea in my head for how I would do that, but it was a complex model but everybody wanted the complexity first, and it forced me to step up. And in the same way, this doing mechs has forced me to step up and work on articulation, moving parts, parts that pivot, parts that swing. And that's been a lot of my problems lately. The ones that break are the ones that I'm pushing those designs on, but then by iterating those designs, they're getting better and better. And by the end of this Kickstarter, they're going to be amazing. I mean, I hope, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be amazing.
Well, I'm going to be printing some of the mech pieces here in
Yeah.
the next couple of days, and we'll probably see some. Oh, there it is right there. There's some slow motion, and oh, not even slow motion, but time lapse as well, right here on the side. Picture in a picture. Look at that technology.
Wow.
Okay, so now we've gotten to the point of I think it's what $3,500 in the Kickstarter now.
Yeah, well, and I don't know how long it's going to take you to air this because it could be up even more than that by now. But yeah, as of the time of recording, we hit 3,500, and I promised people that every 500, I would add more models, more accessories, but also more of these base blocks to it. And so we've now got base blocks that are, this is the standard base block. We've taken them and we've made halves and we've made doubles and we've made ones that bend and ones that go around corners and edges. But then we've also got mech parts for building, oh, you like your Exo Squad mechs or mechs inspired by Gundam and Power Rangers. We've got tank treads. And then the next goal that I will be releasing on Monday, hopefully after the test prints succeed, is wheels. We're gonna go Mad Max with this sucker.
Yeah, I can't wait for the. I think it was tank tracks and wheels and I watched the YouTube video you put up the other day where you were showing and stuff where you had to be really quiet because there was people who were sleeping.
Yes, I oftentimes record. So at my house where I've got my recording set up, it's often late at night. My family's there. And I guess the advantage to that is that I get to whisper and everybody likes that ASMR stuff. Which is great. I enjoy doing. I should probably be doing that more of that here, but the makerspace is a little bit noisy with all the 3D printers running.
Well, that's a good noise, though. That's
Yeah.
the noise you like. That's fun.
And fortunately, I have a mighty voice, so I can talk right over it all day long. But yeah, so I did release tank treads in the last stretch goal, and some people were kind of disappointed by them because they wanted tank treads that they would be blocks that they would click onto here with a wheel, and that they would build all the tank treads and they'd snap it together and it would actually tread around. So I'll be working on that next, or eventually, I suppose. I think I need to work on spider legs next. People want that most right now.
Oh yeah, spider legs look pretty cool. On the site, you could see kind of like a
I did
shadow
some
design
prototype
of
drawings.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time for going over all this, and
Well,
and
thank you for coming all the way out here to talk to me. I really appreciate that.
well, you're actually only the second person that's near where I live that I've met that does 3D printing. I met Joel, the 3D printing nerd,
Yes.
at CES, but other than that, it's just you and Jeff, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to meet Jeff, but he's closer to you than he is to me, I think.
Yeah, I met him first time Comic-Con that came through town.
Yeah.
Kind of odd. You meet someone from 3D printing at a Comic-Con.
Not to get too philosophical, but if this Kickstarter were to raise, I don't know, $60,000, I would go to every Comic-Con and bring 3D printing there because I feel like 3D printing as a tool meshes with everybody. If you're into cosplay, you can use 3D printing. If you're into props, you can use 3D printing. If you're into gaming, you can use 3D printing. If you're into making functional parts, you can use 3D printing. It's a tool, but it's the most versatile tool that appeals to the most people of any tool that we've had. So I feel like it's absolutely a good meet that you guys met at a Comic-Con. I think that's brilliant.
Oh, yeah, before we go, you want to give us a little tour of all of your toys here?
For sure. So, yeah, we've got the Ultimaker 2 3D printer that we brought in. It was donated when the Makerspace opened. And you can see on here, it's donated by the 4-H right there. So that's pretty cool. 4-H in the area does 3D printing, and they were instrumental in getting this place going. We've got a couple of monoprice Voxels Adventure 3 3D printers. I love these 3D printers, and it was under my recommendation that we got them. I've got several at home. I highly recommend them. But look, when we first opened, those weren't available. these were. The Monoprice Select Mini, which again is a very solid, stable machine, comes out of the box pre-assembled and only costs $200. But these are getting long in the tooth and they're starting to fall apart.
That's almost what Prusa came out with, is kind of a play on these ones where it's just got the one little arm off the side and not a whole big rail system.
The Prusa Mini, in a lot of ways, is very similar to this one. A little bit different, and I 100% like endorse the Prusa Mini because as a Prusa, you know it's gonna, when you get it all assembled, it's gonna correct for you as a new person putting it together. It's gonna teach you how to use the printer, and then it's gonna make beautiful prints. The Prusa Mini is, I think the biggest problem Prusa has is that they made such an incredible machine that they can't keep them in stock, which is a good problem to have.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But then with all of these smaller 3D printers, we need to be able to solve everybody's problems. So we've got the Raise N2 Plus, a 3D printer big enough to print a small child. Now, the advantage to having this here is that we can service more people, but the disadvantage is that these prints take 3 days sometimes, depending on what you're printing. And so the smaller printers encourage people to think small, but this printer is always available if it's needed. And so I think that that sort of spread is good for 3D printing. But we have more than 3D printing. Do you want to check out our laser cutter?
Sure. Before we do, what is that you got printing on there right now?
This is a funny story. It's a phone holder. So if you go up above, you can probably see the stand. You put your phone stand in there, and it holds your phone. People at work have been asking me for these, but I couldn't find one that I liked, so I modeled it. Because I can model stuff. And I thought, yeah, it's a stupid little thing. It'll take me no time to model it. 4 hours later, I finally had a version that I liked, and I had blown half my day doing it. But that's what this is. So people at work have seen these on other people's desks, and they say, well, I want one, and I want one. Okay, fine. Pay for it. We'll print it. We'll go for it, you know. And then
so what else you got here?
We've got a laser cutter. Now, laser cutting is not a technology that has shown up a lot on my channel, but I love it. And we turned it off because its case fan is a little bit noisy, but the Muse laser cutter has a 60-watt laser inside of it. It's powerful. It does a good job of cutting wood and acrylic and all those things. And I think as a making technology, laser cutting is a different skill set, but a powerful one. And much faster than 3D printing because it's a subtractive technology. You start with a big thing, you cut out what you want, and you're done. You don't have to wait for it to build up from nothing.
Well, it's also a laser. I mean,
you're cutting
it's
stuff
a laser.
With fire, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So what else you got?
Well, this is my corner. I'm kind of testing out the JG Aurora and the E-Cube Mini. So whenever I've got a 3D printer to play with, I bring it here to the makerspace because I'm here so often. This is the only chance I get to play with them. We've got soldering stations as well. We do Arduino here, and we've got a CNC machine in the corner. It's a serious piece of work. Now, oddly though, I haven't really done much with CNC routing. It's another set of skills. I'm just having a hard time getting into it, you know. I think that the interface on it is very industrial, and I'm not industrially minded. I'm design minded, so I like to get the design.
It looks like you got some electrical wood burning thing going on over here where it makes those fractal patterns.
Yep, we might be playing with a little bit of that, but that's not an official makerspace thing because we don't want to kill children in the library.
That would be bad.
That would be bad.
And kids would probably not come here anymore.
They diminish over time. Yeah, it's not good.
Well, really appreciate your time. I'm going to play some music here, and it's that same beginning music that everybody heard for the first time. It's pretty cool. And I don't have an outro yet, so in lieu of that, it's going to be more pictures of my trip. And maybe a couple pictures of the cheeseburgers we're going to get in a little bit.
Oh, hey, let's go get some cheeseburgers.
Oh, yeah, I got to try out the local foods
cuisine,
here. So
right?
thank you very much, and we'll see you guys next time.